Radio audience. I'd like to thank each and every one for tuning in to the Yahweh's Will broadcast. Thank you for your time, your ears, and the host for this broadcast will be Minister Derek Gooden.
Greetings, nation. All praises to Father Yahweh. I'm Minister Gooden of Yahweh's Will Ministry. I'm thankful to come to you with Yahweh's Will broadcast. And the name Yahweh is the created name of our Father. I know some that hear this broadcast may not know the name Yahweh, but that is his Hebrew name. And as I go through this broadcast with the different scriptures, I will read them from the book of Yahweh. And then I would identify with the King James manuscript where I am so that you would not be confused. Okay? The broadcast now we'll be dealing with the series is continuing on the horses. And those that have listened to the previous broadcast, we've dealt with the red horse. We dealt with the white horse. Now, we're going to deal with the black horse. And all of these horses deal with prophecy. These are not physical horses. These are spiritual prophecy horses that you will see through this message that it is active right now in today's time. So nation, today is the black horse. And as we study from the Holy Scriptures, you'll see that the word is not a lie because the action will be right before your eyes. Let us go into the book of the prophet Isaiah, Isaiah chapter 58 and verses 1. Cry loud, spare not. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. A trumpet carries a soprano sound. It sounds different than all the musical instruments in a band. It's called an upper brass instrument because of the note tone that can be reached. Some people, their transgressions, and the house of Jacob, their sins. Y'all just identify the things that are going on in the Word. Show it as it actually is happening. So the action will be proven by the Word, and the Word will be proven that it's not a lie. That will be the compatibility. All right. Revelation chapter 6. And we're begun at verses 5. Revelation chapter 6, beginning at verses 5. This is the time of the great plenty, and the oil is protected. It's coming a time when we gonna really want to preserve as much as can be preserved it, because you're going to see that the black horse represents something very significant right before our eyes. Yeshua is speaking. The Yachanan, John in the King James Version, the apostle is recording what Yeshua spoke on the island of Patmos. And then it opened the third seal. I heard the third creature say, "Come and see." And I looked at and behold, a black horse. And he that sat upon it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures, saying, "A measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny. See that you do not hurt the oil and the wine." Preserving these things that we need because it's something significant is taking place right before our eyes. We can now go into the gospel. The gospel of Matthew in the King James manuscript. It would be the gospel of Matthew or St. Matthew. However you want to address it, nation. Matthew chapter 20 and verses 7. Matthew 24 and verses 7. For nation will rise against nation. We're going to break it down. Kingdom against kingdom. There will be famine, pestilent diseases, epidemic, earthquakes, and place after place. There's just a black horse riding at this time. Do we not see nation have risen against nation? How the wars have come about. Russia against Ukraine. Israel against Gaza. United States and China on the blink of war. United States against Russia. You see it setting up throughout this global land. Nation rising against nation. There are many countries right now with no democracy. The democracy has been broken. Bitterness and anger. All kind of turmoil. Mexico have elected a female president, but now it's said it'll be a miracle if she take office. They're having an outright hatred in their own country. It's a disaster global wide. Black horse is riding. Now, the famines. What is the famine? The famine is an acute and general shortage. There's a shortage that is taking place right before our eyes. And nation, where is this shortage taking place at? First, it's taking place within the food industry. Our meats are getting scarce. Sometimes the produce is not even making it to the store shelves. Food in some areas is becoming scarce. You gotta now start planning wisely for the future and put it back. Because you can think you're going to do your regular grocery and find out that some of the food hadn't even made it from the warehouse. It's a famine. There's a famine in the medical field. Some hospitals are short on doctors, nurses, other medical attendants. Some hospitals don't know who's going to be on staff at the beginning of shift. Nurses having to pull longer hours and cover more patients. Some surgeries are getting pushed back because of the shortage of doctors. You go to your medical procedure and having to wait a longer period of time because they're running behind because of short staffness. You find yourself going to many retail stores and there are very few workers. It's a black horse riding. The famous. The first responders, the paramedics, the firemen, the law enforcement, they're having to cover more areas with shorter staff. That's a famine. Nation, this is happening right before our eyes. Sometimes just to be in checkout, you spend more time trying to check out of the store than you did in the store shopping because the workers are very few. This is a famine. Yahweh will is only speaking what's going on, but just using and showing you the scriptures as to why. Sometimes school children having to wait longer at the bus stops because there's a shortage of bus drivers. It's a famine. At the airports, the extra long lines, the long wait time, because you have this mass amount of people trying to go through, but the check-in personnel is a famine. Nation, this is real. The prophecies of Father Yahweh is real. There's no lying in his prophecies. This is what we see now. And when you call your local 911 dispatchers, 911 is not picking up as fast as they once did. You can be in extreme danger, needing serious help. And you may get 911. Can you hold? Put on hold with 911 because of the famine. They're overwhelmed with work, with fewer workers because the black horse is riding. This is real, nation. The presidents can't solve the problem. The senators and the congressmen can't solve the problem. The Supreme Court can't solve the problem because the prophecies of Yahweh will be fulfilled. I witness these things when I'm out. My eyes sees them. And I hear the people complaining. They just have no idea as to what's going on because the word of Yahweh has been neglected to be taught accurately for so many generations. The pestilent diseases, the epidemics of all the different diseases, this is still in the earth. And when people have so many different diseases upon them, they don't really have time to even try to see about all of them. They're so short-handed. You remember when the coronavirus broke out and the pandemic was so strong and the hospitals were so flooded, the medical profession was working so exhaustively because they didn't have the help to cover all of the necessities of the patients. And that's why it began to be said, if you didn't have an extreme emergency, don't even come to the hospital. The black horse is riding. Yes, there will continue to be earthquakes from nation to nation, devastation. And sometime after the earthquakes have happened, the help is not there as it should be because the first responders are so short. Even when there's major storms, there's hurricanes, tornadoes, just trying to get basic power back restored to families can take weeks at a time because the workers are short-handed because the black horse is riding. Storm can come up this week and it may be 2 or 3 weeks before you have electricity again. The black horse is riding. I have went into some retail stores and I have asked the question, where is your help? Where is your workers? They said, this is all we got. And I know the prophecy of Yahweh is at hand, nation. The black horse is riding. So nation, the word of Yahweh is true and it is real. Sometimes we have a shortage in the educational system. Sometimes the students are having to crowd up in one room because teachers is at a shortage. All of it is real. Go back to Revelation chapter 6, verse 5. And when they opened the third seal, I heard the third creature says, come and see. And he said, I looked and behold a black horse. The black horse. And he had a pair of scales in his hand. We're asking ourselves, when is it going to get better? Some even looking to man for answers. Well, I tell you, my friend, man don't have the answer. Man can make many promises, but it's only up to Yahweh as to what actually gets done. But now all them promises, if they don't get fulfilled, lie. They want you to believe that they got so much authority and power to do so much, but the prophecies are still being fulfilled. These horses are riding, but they're riding through prophecy. And even in the luxury world, where one thinks because of their financial gain that they are set and secure, you still got to be able to buy. And if it's not there to buy, what will your money be able to do for you? So yes, nation, this is a wise time to start putting back before it gets worse. Because as you can look over in the eastern countries and see many hardships that they're going through in their countries, we can see here in our nation things are getting to that point. That's why I have no trust in what man says. I have no trust in the promises that man makes. Why? Romans chapter 3 and verses 4. Romans chapter 3 and verses 4. By no means, yes, let Yahweh be true, and every man a liar. And it is written that you may be justified in your words, and you might overcome when you are judged. How is that when we speak and do righteously. When we speak and do righteously, Father Yahweh will uphold us in righteousness. I don't put trust and confidence in what man says, not over Father Yahweh, because Father Yahweh acts upon what he said. Only way man can carry out what he says is Father Yahweh allow it to happen. Look at the book Psalms. Psalms chapter 118. And look at verses 8 and 9. 8 and 9. The word of Yahweh says better to trust in Yahweh than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in Yahweh than to put confidence in princes. It is better to put all your hope into the spiritual being that will not fail you nor allow you to suffer if you walk in righteously in his ways. Father Yahweh will uphold his vows. He will carry out his promises. We learn this from the law. The law great nation from Deuteronomy chapter 28 verses 1. Nation, if you're going with me to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verses 1. It would be if we would listen diligently to the voice of Yahweh our Father, by observing and doing all his laws, which I command you this day, that Yahweh our Father will set us high above all nations on earth as his holy kings and priests. Now, his blessings will befall us for obeying him. He will bless us for obedience sake. Now, the blessing will be upon us as we come in. They will accompany us because we made Father Yahweh our priority to obey him and do what he said. We'll be blessed in the city. We'll be blessed in the country. His children will have the abundance of what they need. He'll bless the fruit of your body, your children, the produce of your grounds, your vegetation, your fruits, your young livestock, the calves of your herds, and the lambs of your flock. And your baskets will always be overflowing, and you will have plenty in your storehouse. You will succeed. Yahweh promised this. Blessings when you come in. Blessings when you go out. He will make sure his children is provided for because this is his promise. We're living in the midst of these prophecies, but Yahweh's children will be provided for. Nation is right in the book. It's real and it's true. But the key to all of the blessings being released is to obey the voice of Yahweh. What's the voice of Yahweh? When we hear his word and when we read his word, obey what he says. Obey and put in action what Father Yahweh commands us. Each one of the horses is a prophetic prophecy, and they are all riding at this time. We dealt with the white horse. We dealt with the red horse. Now we're dealing with the black horse. And in the next lesson, it will be a pale horse. We're doing a complete series on the 4 horses. The white horse represent those that is of the religious world, deceiving and conquering by Satan's influences, lying religion teaching against Father Yahweh's word. The The red horse represent wars. And we see that there are wars breaking out throughout the global world. The word is real. Already wrote before it came to pass. Now we're dealing with great famines upon the land. The prophet Zechariah chapter 6 and verses 2. In the King James manuscript, it would say Zechariah chapter 6 and verses 2 and 3. All four horses here in prophecy tie in with Revelation. And with the first chariot was the red horse, war horse. Second chariot, the black horse, the famine horse. Third chariot, the white horse, through the false religion of conquering and conquered by Satan's deception. The fourth horse, which is the draped horse, the pale horse, or even called the bay horse, will be in our next series. So the prophecies was already wrote before the disasters even fell. So one field that I don't have to obey Yahweh, one field that I can do just what I want, and I'm going to live successful. It may seem that way. Yes, it do. It may seem that way. But I give you the prophecy to show you that no materialistic thing we have will be able to deliver us from the wrath of Father Yahweh. Isaiah chapter 2 and verses 19. They would go into the holes of the rocks, into the caves of the earth, from the terror of Yahweh and the glory of his majesticness. And when he arrives to shake the earth terribly. So the majesticness of Yahweh is his splendid majesty of the glory of his power. No man controls the power of Father Yahweh. And why is Father Yahweh so angry with the inhabitants of the earth for so many generations? Well, we must go into the prophet of Micaiah chapter 6. In the King James manuscript, it'll say the book of Michael. The prophet Micaiah. I'm so sorry, nation. I have the angel Michael in my mind. It's the book of Micaiah in the book of Yahweh. And we will look at the prophecies to show that Micaiah spoke as Yahweh moved upon him. And it was the archangel Michael that overthrew Satan. So I'm calling out the prophecies with Michael on my mind. So the book of Micaiah chapter 6, verses 1, hear now what Yahweh says. Rise up, present your case before the mountain, and let the hills hear your argument. Is Yahweh talking about a physical nation and a physical hill? No. He's talking about the mountain represent people, and the hills represent cities. He's talking about the mountains represent a mass amount of territory. And the hills, which is smaller than that of the mountain size, represent the cities. This is the way prophecy is wrote. So he's talking to people. He's talking to people. Hear Yahweh, O contentions, O nations, and enduring foundation of the earth. For Yahweh has a controversy with his people, and he will contend with Israel. This is not the nation over in the east fighting against Gaza. This nation represents us in the west. That was a blessed land, that Yahweh had blessed it as a land of plenty, but now have become cursed. That's why the prophecy will be fulfilled. Oh, my people, what have I done to you? The question is asked, how is Father Yahweh a burden to us that we desire not to obey him? He would not curse if obedience was in action. He only curses when righteousness is not being fulfilled. He said, how have I wearied you? Bring your testimony against me. He said, show me my faults. Show me my errors. Show me how I am a burden to you all. Verses 8, he has shown us what is righteous. He showed us what he requires for us to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humble with Father Yahweh. That's what Father Yahweh requires, is to live by his every word, not to kill one another, but to love one another. Not to despise and hate one another, but to love one another. Through politics and lying religion, the geopolitical world system that's tied in from the white horse, this nation is more divided than it ever been. I do not comprehend blue states and red states. I don't comprehend blue people and red people. I comprehend my neighbors, not by the pigment color of your skin. I don't see you from outer. I see you from within. I don't correspond with no blue state and no red state. I'm not of the geopolitical religious system, painting people blue and red. Foolishness. Republican, Democrat don't separate a nation. We are all human beings, striving as the human race. That's all we are. Human beings. A black horse don't hate a brown horse. They all drink from the same trough, eating from the same field. The cows ain't hating each other. They're eating in the field. The animal kingdom should show us much intelligence. They don't despise each other by the outer skin color. Those humanoids, we're so far in a hole of darkness because of the morbidness of the mind. How do you let people cause you to despise your own neighbor? But you live in a blue state, we don't have nothing to do with you. Well, you live in a red state, we ain't gonna talk to you. But that black horse is riding through all states. Ignorant and foolish. Yeshua was only prejudiced to sin. He was only prejudiced to sin. He only hated sin. Whosoever will, let them come unto me, and by no way will I cast them out. He was not prejudiced to his Father's creation. He was only prejudiced to sin. So the controversy is that when we would disobey Yahweh and not obey Father Yahweh, then we must be cursed. Don't be deceived by materialistic things to think that you are spared and that money can deliver you. Nothing Yahweh has created is greater than me. But because of sin, the creations are praised it more than he is. Pick me up in the book of Romans. Romans chapter 1. And we'll be going at verses 25. Yahweh will let the book do the proving. But they exchanged the truth of Yahweh for lies. They exchanged it for the pleasing of lies, and worship and serve the creation rather than the Creator, who has blessed it forever. All praises to Father Yahweh. We live in a time period now where it is creation is served it over Father Yahweh. Materialistic things hold a higher value in people's minds than doing Yahweh's will. That's facts. Those prophecies will be carried out. The famine is upon the land, and it's because of disobedience. And it's because of the growth of disobedience, nation, the continuity of disobedience. And the only way we will be obeying Yahweh is that his spirit must submit us to do his will. Not by talking, but by action. Now, complete action. So go with me into the book of Moshe. In the King James manuscript, it will say Amos. Moshe, chapter 8, and we'll begin at verses 11. Behold, the day comes, says Father Yahweh, that I will set a famine in the land. Not a famine of bread, nor a thirst of water, but hearing the word of Yahweh, the law and the prophets. The famine now will also include his word. Hearing the true word of Father Yahweh. Hearing the true messenger that's delivering it from the book as it is. You have a physical famine, and there's going to be a spiritual famine for the truth. But you hear many false prophets speaking of their own mind, deceiving you, claiming that they have a vision from Yahweh, deceiving you with number lies. They are the white horse. They will wander from sea to sea, from north to east. They will run back and forth to seek the word of Yahweh, the law and the prophets, but will not find it. At this time that Yahweh's word is still presentable, the greatest one can do is take hold to it. I would encourage you to study harder, to seek Yahweh stronger. I would encourage you to reach out for the booklets that the house of Yahweh will provide. Just simply call 1-800-613-9494. All you have to do is leave your name and mailing address. And ask for a study package. Be put on the mailing list. And see how you can spiritually enhance your mind in the word of Yahweh. Because as you live on this earth at this time, These prophecies are real. That's 1-800-613-9494. So the prophet of Moshe wrote that there is a time coming when there's going to be a great famine for the word of Yahweh. Because the true messengers, Yahweh will pull them. Now those that's running, speaking their own words, we have a word for them as well. You go with me into the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, and we'll be going at verse 11. Now follow me in the book of Jeremiah because I'm going to be going through different verses, but it's all going to tie into the black horse. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yes, even in my own house I have found their wickedness, says Yahweh. Now, you would think in the house of Yahweh that the servants will be faithful and true, but that's not always the case. Just because they use the name of Yahweh, it don't make them holy and righteous. For Father Yahweh says, I see their wickedness as all the prophets I see that lies to the people, that practice deception, extortion, misleading the people for financial gain, for a material harvest. Yahweh's word is not meant for that. Yahweh's word is meant to be given true as it is, so that the people can see for themselves what is right, what is wrong, so that they can make the choice for themselves. All right? Let's move over to verses 16. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 16, still in the book of Jeremiah the prophet. This is what Yahweh says. Do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you. They make you vain, filled with empty hope. They speak a vision from their own minds and not from the mouth of Yahweh, because they're not warning you of the troubles that's upon the earth. So what Yahweh says, what they say will not come to pass, because I am not with them. That's why they can't give you the prophecies. That's why they can't show you what Yahweh foretell coming on the earth. They started telling you everything gonna be fine. You're gonna have nothing but peace, and you living in total hell and devastation. The black horse is riding. Go with me to verse 21. Yahweh said, I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken of them, yet they prophesied. Well, who prophets are they if they are not Father Yahweh? Please read for yourself in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 13 through 15. You'll see who they belong to. That's why they give you false visions, false dreams. This even happened with those saying they was of Yahweh, giving false visions and false dreams, speaking of their own mind. But they had only stood in my counsel, said Yahweh, and caused my people to hear my word, the law and the prophets, then they will turn them from their evil way and from the evil of their doing. They would have caused the people to see themselves, be shameful of the sins that they commit, and the people would have had a mind to want to change for their children's sake, to represent in righteousness, to do that which is right. But now we see that the sins of the people is so great. And because the sins are so great, Yahweh's wrath is getting stronger and stronger. Nation is real. It's real, nation. The famine is getting worse and worse. Don't take it for granted that every time you go in, I have the produce that you want. Put it back. Put it back. Because the famine is going to get worse. Food, the medical field, first responders, the messengers bringing Yahweh word, all of it is going to become of a great shortage. The curse is filling the land. And if only the people had been taught righteousness and stayed in righteousness, it would be a whole turnaround at this time. So verse 26, Jeremiah says in Jeremiah 23 and verse 26, how long will this be in the mind of the prophet who prophesy lies? They laugh as they tell lies. Yes, they are prophets of deceit of their own mind, who devise plans and schemes to cause my people to forget my name. That's why it's not found within the King James manuscript, because when the King James was translated, the name of Yahweh and Yeshua were left out on purpose. That was not added into the King James because the translators leave it out on purpose from Satan's influences. So that their own dreams they may tell their neighbors. So that their own ways can be promoted, which is nothing but the servant of their master. That's why they are the liars of their teacher. Their teacher controlled them to lie and say Yahweh's word has been done away with when it happened. It's in the gospel. Yachanan. In the King James manuscript is John chapter 8 and verses 44. This is why the prophecies are not being taught. This is why you are asking what's wrong and why it's happening. This is why you look into man to solve the problem. Nation, no matter what individual live at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., they cannot fix the problem. You are your teacher, who is Satan the devil. Whatever she who is your teacher desires, you will do. She was a murderer from the beginning, remained not in the truth. Why? Because there is no truth in her. Therefore, when her servants speak her word, they are speaking the lies. They are converted to lies and to deception. That's why they're not teaching about these prophecies. Because the liars, the laws are done away with. The liars, they were nailed to the cross. The liars, those old Mosaic laws, those old Jewish laws, the laws of Yahweh is intact. Yeshua never did away with his father's word. He never taught against his father's laws. The laws are very near us right now. The Gospel of Matthew, Matthew chapter 5 and verses 17. This is our Savior speaking. Do not even think that I've come to destroy the law of the prophets. In the walking of Yeshua in the flesh, he never taught against his father's word. I have not come to destroy them, but to establish them. For truly I say unto you, unless heaven and earth pass away, nation, I do believe our feet is still on the earth, and the heavens is still over our head. One yoke, the smallest of the latter, will in no way pass from the law until all things are perfected. That is, all prophecies be made manifest. That's when when the word shall then be fulfilled. So there's the black horse. Revelation chapter 6, verses 5 and 6, and the prophet Zechariah chapter 6, verses 2 and 3. It deals with the horses that are riding at this time. The famine is great. Just as the earthquakes are real, just as the hurricanes are real, just as the tornadoes are real, the river flooding is real, and all of the other natural disasters are happening. The famine is real, and we can see it on a daily basis. So while you are able to still buy, put back. But the conditions will get worse because the disobedience that continues, because the disobedience that continues to grow. Isaiah the prophet, Isaiah chapter 24 and verses 4. The earth moans and fades away. The world moans and fades away. And the heart of people of the earth languish, because the earth is defiled under the inhabitants of it, because of the transgression, the breaking of Yahweh's laws, the changing of his ordinances that he gave no man permission to, is because the curses are devouring the land. They're real. Because of the sins that's on the increase. So nation, I'm only sharing with you that which is real, that which is true, so that you'll know that the word of Yahweh has not been done away with. And what Father Yahweh is showing in America? What he's showing in America is that our sins is causing us to be a grieving nation. You may say, Minister, I'm partying. I'm having a glorious time. I don't see no grieving. Well, that's because you're overcaptivated with sin and the lust of the flesh. But right now, Father Yahweh using this nation as a spectacle to other nations. The book of Lamentations, chapter 1 and verses 8. This nation, as Jerusalem did, grievously sinned. Therefore this nation is as a wanderer. And what we once was honored, now we're despised. Because they've seen the nakedness of this nation by the power of Father Yahweh. Yes, she groans as one in mourning. You don't talk about January the 6th, but how you think it looked to other nations when our own citizens want to destroy one and another? When our own citizens want to overthrow the government with violence, and you can cheer that on? That could have been a massacre in the capital. How many of our neighbors could have perished that day? So sad for all the hurt and pain that was done. It could have been a bloodbath of a massacre. How you think that looked to other nations? The nation uncleanness, filthiness of sin, have defiled her and caused her to fall from the mercy of Yahweh. So they don't remember the future. They don't let them focus on the future. Money, partying, wild orgies. That's all. Fun. Sin. Therefore, the nation is coming down astonishingly. And all the allies that we once had to comfort us, they now have turned against us and have become our enemies proudly. That's why I told you before, let no man deceive you. No wall will stop the foreigners from coming here. Yahweh's will is for our foreign neighbors to be here. And not just here, but running businesses here. The nation has been given over to the foreigners. Foreigners run America. Be not deceived. Foreigners run America. You may not like it. It may not sit well with you, but you cannot stop Yahweh's will. Medical field, the first responding field, the sports field, the food industry, the gas industry. Foreigners run America. And because of disobedience and the breaking of his laws, that the liars would not teach you correctly, but have lied, and because the wrath of Yahweh is loose. It's loose, nation. And his wrath is going to get stronger because the prophecies will be fulfilled. The black horse is riding. And all it is a repeat of history. All we're saying is what once was is happening again. Nothing new. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. That which has already been will be yet again. That which has already been done is what will yet be done again. Just a repeat of history. Nothing new under Yahweh's sun. The only thing different is the time period in which it's happening. So we even look to say, look, this may be new. It have already happened in ancient times. The word was wrote in ancient times. John Yahweh chapter 14, verse 29. Yeshua clearly said, I tell you before it happened, so that when it happened, you will believe. That's all Minister Gooden coming with you, Yahweh's word. Don't believe in me. I'm not greater than the book. I must live the same teaching that I'm used to teach. I'm not living hypocrisy. Don't look at me as greater than the book. I'm just a spiritual messenger bringing you some spiritual mail. If you want it, receive it. If you don't, that's fine. All those that will, let them hear and receive the word with a ready mind. This is Yahweh's will broadcast. The black horse is riding. And is riding strong at this time. The great famine. The great famine will get worse. The shortages will continue to get greater. Our neighbors working hard to see about one another because there's such a great shortage in the medical field, in the retail stores, the grocery chain, the first responders. They're working so hard to try to see about one another. Nation is real and it is true. This is Minister Gooden. You may correspond with me at Post Office Box 150027, Atlanta, Georgia 30315. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's broadcast. I do hope the message was inspiring to you, and I do hope that Yahweh will continue to be with you and bless your understanding until the next broadcast of Yahweh's Will with Minister Derek Gooden.